Oh, hello. My name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. Today is Unhaul Day. I do these with frequency here on this channel because if you buy as many books as I do, unless you're going to be living in an episode of Hoarders, you have to be willing to let some of them go. I mean, it is like my goal someday to be able to have like an entire house that's basically just filled with books, but we're not quite there yet. So yeah, I get books and I definitely also let them go. So this is my sort of end of the summer type book unhaul. I know that I have some footage from earlier in the summer before I made a run to the used bookstore, so I will go ahead and insert that part of it here. Okay, just hopping on here in between Unhaul filmings to let you guys know about a couple that I am letting go of. Yeah, sometimes just the way things time out filming, I have to do this sort of more impromptu style. So first I have The Last Namsara by Kristen, I'm going to say Ciccarelli, something like that. I enjoyed this book pretty well. It's the first in a trilogy. Ooh, look at the shiny. It's the first in a trilogy, and it is following one main character in this one, and then there will be a different main character for the next two books. I know who the one in the second one is, and I can guess the third one. And I quite like that as a style for a trilogy. That's more akin to, for instance, what you see quite a bit in romance series is that you follow different main characters or different couples for each book. So I quite like that. I think that's a little bit different for YA fantasy. Who published this? Harper Teen. I was wondering for a second if it was, because I know Harlequin has like a whole YA thing. But anyway, all that to say, I did enjoy this. I just don't need to hold on to the hardback copy. I have this on notification for ebook, so if and when this goes on sale as an ebook, I will pick it up in that form. But for now, I'm saying goodbye to the hardback. And then as you can see, I'm also getting rid of this Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I have not yet read this, but I just picked this up today for $1.99 on Kindle, and that is the format I would rather have it as. I mean, I'm excited to read this eventually. Victoria Schwab was on my list of an author who I really wanted to dive deeper into this year, and I have been doing that, so I would like to get to this before the end of the year, but we'll see. Either way, I do think ebook is a better format for me for this particular title. Okay, actually I just realized I have some more. I just did some deep dives on my nonfiction shelf and my cookbook section. I have a couple other things. So first we have Our Anglican Heritage by John W. Howe. I got this when I was joining a church. This was like the book we were reading. I have other histories of religion that are better than this, so I don't need this. And yeah, goodbye. Next we have Desiring the Kingdom by James K.A. Smith. Oh boy. Okay, so this book I think has some good things about it. But I think at this point in my life I would argue that the worldview that James K.A. Smith comes from is I'm going to say noxious and unhelpful, as probably my most generous reading. I think there's some interesting ideas in here, and I'm thankful for some of the things that helped me kind of explore to get to the actual originators of the ideas he puts in here. That was some low-key scholarly shade here. I basically just don't think this is that original once you've read some of the source material he's drawing from, and I don't really care for what he stands for. Okay, moving on. Letters to a Diminished Church. This is by Dorothy Sayers. I've read this. It was good. I just realized I'm not going to reread it, and I don't need to hold on to it. So, by the way, I don't know if you can hear, but the kids behind my house are setting off firecrackers in the middle of a city, and it's not so safe and quite annoying. Anyway, moving on. I'm just not going to reread this, so I'm going to go ahead and take it in to the used bookstore. Next, we have Baptism, Eucharist, and Ministry. This is basically like an attempt by, I forget what all the branches in here are, but several different denominations of Christianity. I can't remember if it's just Protestant or also Orthodox and Catholic. I don't remember. But anyway, it was basically an attempt at an ecumenical statement about some of these key sacraments. I have no occasion to reread this, so I have no idea why I've been holding on to it so long. I had to write a paper on this in grad school. I'm done. Goodbye. Next, What Remains by Radziwill. This is kind of a partisan move because of what's been happening this season on The Real Housewives of New York City. She just isn't coming off that well for me. and I'm less inclined to want to read her memoir now. Hopefully somebody else is on Team Carole and will enjoy this, so I'm going to take this to the used bookstore. And then we have Women's Growth and Diversity. Oh my god, kids. Kids these days. I'm barely 30 and I'm kids these days, but whatever. Okay, Women's Growth and Diversity. I actually really enjoyed this. I read this for a women's spirituality class. It was good. It's more than 20 years old now, and I just think some of the things that it talks about have been explored in more depth, better, from other sources now. But I really did enjoy this and would recommend it. I hope somebody else enjoys it at the used bookstore. And then finally we have a cookbook, Mark Bittman's the Food Matters cookbook. This is fine. I have his How to Cook Everything, and I think that's really the cookbook I want from him. Just with how I eat now, a lot of cookbooks I had before just aren't as applicable, and yeah, I mean, this is a lot of people would really enjoy having this, I think, so I'd rather put it back out into circulation than have it just collect dust on my shelf. So yeah, a few more in between Unhaul books.
And now we're back to the present day. So I have even more books to get rid of, and I have them divided into 4 categories. Books that I converted from physical to ebooks, that's why I'm getting rid of the physical copy. Books that I've read and I'm just letting go of, yay me. Books that I have not read, and I either have decided I'm going to read it from the library or I'm not going to read it at all, so just I don't need to own it. And then I do have one that I converted from a soft cover to a hardcover, so let's start with that one. That one is Orthodoxy by GK Chesterton. This is sort of a classic of devotional literature, and yeah, I decided that I did want to go ahead and hold on to it because I did a big thing on this at one point in grad school, and so I wanted to have a copy, but if I was going to have a physical copy, I wanted to have a hardback version, so I have that now. And then books that I converted from a physical copy to an e-copy. First, I have Beyond Heaving Bosoms by Sarah Wendell and Candy Tan. Sarah Wendell still runs the amazing blog Smart Bitches Trashy Books, which is all about romance books, but this is basically like her exploration of the genre with her co-founder, and yeah, this is a kind of classic or an oft-cited text in literary studies for romance, but I did see it on sale in ebook form, so I snatched that up. Next, I saw Red Rising. The ebook went on sale for $1.99, so I went ahead and grabbed that. I had gotten this copy at the used bookstore, so it's just gonna go back there. Justo Gonzalez's The Story of Christianity. This is a good, like, sort of entry-level history of Christianity text, and when I was TAing, this was our textbook, and I got it as an ebook because, yeah, I just decided that I was okay having it as an ebook and not as a physical book. Oh, and actually another history of Christianity, but this one by Diarmaid McCullouch. Yeah, this is also a good one, also one that I referred to a lot when I was teaching, but yeah, I have the ebook now, so I didn't feel the need to hold on to this big ol' hunk of a paperback. And then 2 C.S. Lewis books. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I've been slowly converting my C.S. Lewis paperbacks into ebooks as I am able to, and 2 went on sale. So I got Till We Have Faces and Of Other Worlds and other essays. Yeah. I've got these as ebooks now, so I'm not holding on to the paperbacks. Okay, so now let's move into my I have read these, but I'm just gonna get rid of them category, which is actually my biggest category this time around, so good job me. First, I am unhauling all 3 of my blind dates with a bookness that I did. You will see the bookstore picked my TBR. You saw that video, I think, in July or early August. Yeah, I really enjoyed my experiment. Nothing against, well, a little bit against Rogue Stallion. Nothing against the rest of them, but they're mass markets, and if I ever see these go on sale on ebook, maybe I'd pick them up, but as a rule, I do not hold on to mass markets. Similarly, for Divided in Death, I was glad to have this instead of having to wait for it at the library, but it's a mass market. It's going back. If it ever goes on sale on ebook, I'd be glad to have it. A couple of arcs that Bethany at Beautifully Bookish Bethany sent me. I need to find out, I need to message her and see if she wants me to send these back to her, but otherwise I thought I would pass these on to my sister. She's a big reader and I thought maybe she would enjoy these, but yeah, nothing against either of these either, but they're soft cover, and I don't tend to hold on to those in my collection unless I have no other choice. Delta Wedding, Eudora Welty. I picked this up for the book club that I'm in at my local independent bookstore. Her bookshop. Actually, it has just rebranded to The Bookshop. I think the her part was confusing men who didn't know if they were allowed to come in. okay. Anyway, Delta Wedding is not my cup of tea, basically. I think it was an interesting book club discussion, so no regrets in buying it and participating or whatever. It's also a classic of Southern literature, so glad to have finally read that. But yeah, I don't like this, so I don't want to hold on to it. And then we've got some DNFs and some duds. So first we've got Artemis by Andy Weir. I ended up DNFing this. I talked about this in my Booktubeathon wrap-up video. Just not for me. I tried several times with this and just couldn't get into it. I also DNF'd Winter Song during the Booktubeathon. Too angsty for me, basically. But yeah, I mean, the YA section at my used bookstore is not as robust as I would like, so I'm always happy to pass some things on to it in case somebody else would enjoy it. But yeah, this was just too much angst for me. And then The Passage by Justin Cronin. Yeah, I did not really like this much at all. I think I liked it best of the people I buddy read it with. I buddy read this with Dane Reeds and with Lisbeth, and they liked it even less than I did. This is way too long. This is a trilogy, and it should be one book of this size and not a trilogy. IMO. But anyway, yeah, I don't want to hold on to this. A random one, Through the Eyes of Women, Insights for Pastoral Care. Also, The Handbook of Women Care. There you go. This was a textbook in a women's spirituality class I took in grad school, and it was okay, but it's a little dated, and I just realized, like, why are you holding on to this? You're not going to refer to this again, I don't think. So, goodbye. From time to time, I do sort of a clean out of my cookbooks, or at least I go over to that part of my house and look at them and think, like, do I really need all of these? And this is a good cookbook. Like, I you know, totally would recommend it if you're looking for a cookbook like this. I just think that in my collection, it doesn't have a clear enough place, so I would rather, again, take it to the used bookstore and let somebody who might need this or be interested in this have the chance to get a hold of it, if that makes sense. Okay, and finally some books that I have not read and I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of. One is Selected Stories of Eudora Welty. See my earlier comments on Delta Wedding. I have heard her short stories are much better than her novels, so I think at some point I probably will read a couple of short stories from her, but I just don't want this taking up space for me in the meantime. Slut! Growing Up Female with a Bad Reputation. This sounded interesting to me when I picked it up at the used bookstore, but I just don't, I don't know. I mean, it probably still would be interesting, but I have a number of other books that are sort of in this vein that I'm more interested in getting to, so like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say goodbye to this. The River of No Return by B. Ridgway. This is at my library if I decide that I want to get to it, and while it is beautiful, I enjoyed having it on my shelves. I just don't see myself getting to this in the next year, so it's a big book, and I would rather just go ahead and put a hold on it at the library when I'm ready to read it. And finally, The Sixth Extinction by Elizabeth Colbert. I realize that my library has this as audio, and that is probably the preferred way that I would like to consume this, so I do plan to read this, but I think I would rather do it through my library's audio, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. Okay. Yay! Lots of good unhauling. I enjoy doing these. I know you guys like watching them, and this is just my, you know, periodic reminder to you that you can get rid of books. You don't just have to buy them, you can also get rid of them, and it's good for you. It builds character, and I think there is nothing like an unhaul to make you live in your own reality in terms of like, girl, what are you actually gonna read right now? Just have that moment of like, really? Are you gonna read that soon? And if not, maybe it's time to say goodbye. But anyway, I think that will do it for me for today. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you did, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I will just talk to you guys soon. Bye!